Hey folks, good morning, Elephant Journal. All right, so we've been doing these little mindful things, mindfulness in everyday life tips for, I don't know, a week or more now. And they just keep getting more popular, which is fulfilling my junior high fantasies of popularity. So, yeah, in junior high, I had a lot of friends. I was very lucky, but I was a big nerd, and I read. I carried around a huge book of Sherlock Holmes, and you know, I wasn't super cool. So anyway, I hope you're doing well. I had a really rough night. I was working very late. The front page, the most popular article on all of the New York Times right now, will describe unto you my plight. So I've had some really bad news, and I think we all go through bad news. So how do we handle it mindfully? Obviously, we all know how to handle bad news. Say it's a setback at work, or we get dumped, or really bad news, like someone passes away, there's grief. And the way we generally handle it is we react in a lot of neurotic ways. We, eat 3 pints of Ben and Jerry's Cherry Garcia. It sounded like a good idea at the time. We maybe drink alcohol. We emote in different ways. We get depressed, and we just lie in bed. As I woke up this morning and was just lost in my thoughts, trying to figure out my way out of this bad news, and and you just feel so. In my case, it's work stuff, and we've already been having a hard time. Facebook has been reducing how you all can see Elephant over, and every other blog. Many other blogs have laid people off, or big sites like the New York Times have been struggling with this. And while this may sound silly, Facebook is the place where the majority of Americans get their daily reads and news and entertainment and information and journalism. So never before in the history of mankind, humankind, womankind, has one corporation controlled the flow of so much information. And as Thomas Jefferson said about the Fourth Estate, journalism, the first three estates are government, executive, legislative, and judicial. Without getting too nerdy, the Fourth Estate is journalism that is meant to be a watchdog, to keep the people informed, to protect the people's interests. So without information, Thomas Jefferson said, democracy cannot function. Corrupt people, whether in government or corporations or the 1%, as Bernie Sanders likes to point out, can get away with too much. So last night I read a couple articles and did some research. Again, it's the #1 article in the New York Times, that Facebook is further reducing the visibility of websites. So we've worked super hard. I've worked super hard. 14 hours a day, on average, for 7 days a week, on average, for 9 years. And this isn't, I'm just going into this because I realize this is not about me, but we need to kind of, this is an anecdotal example of bad news, and sorry, I'm trying to block the live feed. It's giving me too much information. That's a mindful tip for you right there. Block out too much multitasking. Try and do one thing fully at a time. So my one thing fully at a time is talking with you about how to handle bad news mindfully. So in short, Facebook, just last night I found out, is reducing our feed further. We've already collapsed 55% in readership, which means less subscriptions, less advertising money, and that means that we've lost all our savings, and I'm already in danger. I had an all-hands-on-deck meeting with my staff before finding out this news yesterday, of having to lay people off, people who I love and who I have worked with and who I've trained. And I'm seeing, our mission, which is the only reason any of you might care about this, just fall apart. Our mission is to share the mindful, the good word beyond the choir to all those who might give a care. So Facebook is pushing news down. You're not going to see it. If you want to keep elephant in your life, there's one thing you can do. you can subscribe free to our newsletter, which you can click free newsletter on top of every page of elephantjournal.com. That is really the only thing that we control, and it looks like we're going to collapse right now. And a lot of media is freaking out. It's not just me. So from your point of view, this isn't about me, this is about you. So when you go through bad news, I went through some ways that we all handle bad news neurotically. We get lost in our thoughts, we scheme, we try and figure a way out, we eat our feelings, or we drink our feelings, or we are aggressive or overly emotive in some way. We kind of just act out our feelings without really knowing where we're coming from. So mindfully, how do we deal with it? Well, the first thing you can do when you receive bad news is, as they say in Buddhism, you can make yourself still like wood. So I don't know why they say like wood, but maybe like driftwood or deadwood. So the notion is that when we first get big news, we often tend to yell and scream and communicate and run around and kind of make a further mess. And you all know that quote, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to that. So it's something like that. So when you get bad news, it's the good old advice, really just feel it. Again, my idol Pema Chudran, a wonderful writer. We have lots of blogs on her and videos by her on Elephant Journal, or you can read one of her wonderful books from Shambhala Publications. Really just feel that feeling. And this isn't touchy-feely stuff, even though you are touching and feeling that feeling in your heart, in your lungs, in your chest. Wherever you're feeling that feeling, just feel it and really try and breathe. Make yourself like wood. Don't act out. Don't create further chaos yet. The time for action will come soon, but first you need to really contemplate it. I think we've all seen there's all these great, like Chinese, old-timey, like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and you see this great warrior, and he or she receives horrible news, and the first thing they do is they're very still, like a mountain, and then they act. So the first thing you can do is you don't have to meditate, but you just sit still with it, breathe through it, and feel it. And the profound thing that happens there is that instead of getting distracted by all our own reactions to what's happening, we can begin to get right to the nature of what has happened. And instead of making a big deal about ourselves or a big deal about it, we can become very aware and very feeling about what is going on and how to move forward. And that ultimately is what we want to do. We want to be able to move forward in a productive, inspiring way. And it is natural, the whole tendency to eat a couple pints of Ben and Jerry's when you're feeling sad or devastated, as I am today, that's a good instinct, which is to kind of, cocoon yourself, is to protect yourself, is to get quiet. But instead of kind of indulging that and going over the deep end into depression, which is really difficult. And again, I'm talking about everyday depression. I'm not talking about clinical depression. We've talked about that before in a prior video. So if you have any comments or questions about how you deal with grief or devastation or bad news of any kind, go for it. And if you have any questions, I can help advise from a Buddhist point of view. If you have any comments about how you do it, we all can learn from you. But my basic message is that I'm going through it right now. Elephant has already fallen 35% from where we were at, 55% from our peak, and now it looks like we're going to precipitously drop again. So if you do want to keep Elephant in your life, there's a very simple thing you can do, which is get our newsletter. It's free on the top of every single page of Elephant Journal. You just click newsletter and then read it. And frankly, it's our best stuff. I think it's better than Facebook. It's curated. We can show what we are proud of instead of on Facebook, just sort of the viral happy stuff. goes huge, like Gorilla Mom or whatever it is. Chewbacca Mom. Sorry. Got to keep my meme straight. Alrighty. So hit me with your questions or comments about bad news. So Hudika Shashka, great name. What if there's bad news and negative energy literally living with you? Well, that's a fantastic question. So negative energy, first of all, isn't bad. Negative energy is energy. Positive energy is energy. We just need to know how to handle it. And as I've recommended in many of these videos, there's a meditation practice that literally works with transforming negative energy. It's called Tonglen. Negative energy is half of what we deal with in life, and it's choiceless. So we all should get good at dealing with negative energy right now. So let's try that. We could try and practice something like it right now. So let's all take a good posture. Feel your spine kind of uplift, and then breathe deep and relax. This is just a Buddhist meditation, nothing too trippy about it. Just take a good posture, eyes open. Your eyes can look down a little bit, like 45 degrees, and find your breath. First of all, we could put our hands together if you want, or mentally you can just say, I dedicate my day, I dedicate my energy to being a benefit to all people and everything, animals, blades of grass, and including my loved ones and my family and myself. I dedicate everything I do to the benefit of others. Now, take that good posture, relax, and let's touch in with our breath, in and out. This is the practice the Buddha practiced to overcome his own sense of confusion, selfishness, ego, and to become truly joyful in life and available and of benefit to other people. So just breathe in and out. Very simple. No need to complicate it. I've done a lot of this morning, and it's already helped me get out of my own selfish, what about me? What about me? All right, deep breath in, deep breath out. Actually, just normal breath in, normal breath out. We're not doing anything extraordinary. If you find yourself thinking, oh no, my work of 14 years is falling apart. Oh, maybe she doesn't like me. Maybe he doesn't like me. What's for lunch? I like cookies. Rain is cool. Whatever your thoughts are about sports, about your day, about good, bad, happy, or sad, label it thinking, gently, return your attention to the breath. Now the meditation practice I'm talking about, Tonglen, you'll practice this basic meditation first for a few minutes until you feel grounded in your breath. And that means not too distracted. So you label your thoughts, thinking, you return to the breath. After a while, you can do Tonglen, which we have a blog about it on Elephant. I recommend you watch that. Pema Chodron is a much better teacher than I am. Much more tough and charismatic and much more experienced. But I've done hundreds of hours of Tonglen. I'm still no good at it, of course, but the basic practice is you do what we just did first, and then you do the Tonglen practice, which literally transforms negative energy, but it does it in the opposite way that your ego wants it to, by accepting it, transforming it, and then giving generously of benefit to others. And then you meditate after that again. So you have a sandwich of simple meditation with Tonglen in the middle, and the idea is that the two meditations on either end give you a ground of emptiness, or a ground of letting go, or a ground of being grounded, and that way you don't hang on to the positive or the negative energy you're working with. You just get it flowing like unclogging your plumbing. So if you have poop coming out of the toilet of your life in the wrong direction, into your house, into your mind, into your heart, you can get the plumbing flowing again in the right way. through Tonglen. So Hudika, the other thing I would say is if you're living with bad news or negative energy, literally living with it, you may need to take a little distance to practice or to communicate with others, to ask advice from friends. It's always good to take a step back. But on the other hand, great Tibetan Buddhist masters or Indian Buddhist masters would go directly into these charnel grounds, which are like very messy. They're sort of like if you combine a barbecue and a cemetery, basically. And they would go practice in these charnel grounds. The idea is that we can bring our openness and our mindfulness and our gentleness and our humor and our love, as MC Yogi says. He's a buddy. He's been on the talk show. I haven't seen him for a while, but he says love is the only real thing. So we can bring our love into Mordor itself, and then the present moment is everywhere. And it's kind of, that's why Trungpa Rinpoche talks about warriorship. So Trungpa, read his book Shambhala, it's good stuff. Warriorship is being brave. True, genuine, peaceful warriorship is being brave without aggression. Gentle, generous, without aggression. Alrighty. Pearl, thank you for your comment. Pema is the best. Chuck, Becky, awesome. Vero. Vero, so something about focusing on the excitement of the news no matter what. Yeah, I mean, the excitement of the news, the devastation of the news. When we first, as a country, as a world, heard about Orlando or heard about Istanbul or heard about Paris, all these different tragedies that have been happening, if you can just sit with that and breathe through it, it's not that you're trying to get away from it, you're trying to feel it fully so that you know how to act in a helpful way instead of out of just, further ego. Trungpa Rinpoche often said that, activists often just create more aggression. If you're an activist, we need to work with our aggression and then help the world. If we just go out with our aggression, George W. Bush is evil, Bernie Sanders is the best, Hillary is evil, Trump is evil, whatever our opinions are, even if they're warranted, it could go the other way. Bernie is evil, Trump is God, whatever. We're just putting more self-righteous aggression into the world. So you can go out, I'm vegan, and I don't really believe in yelling at people about veganism. I'm happy to talk about it, and I'm happy to relate my experience about it. And I'm happy to make it even uncomfortable if people want to ask, but I'm not going to force it down people's throats. And if I am going to, I would hope to do so gently and with a sense of kindness and humor, because otherwise you're just objectifying the other person as a sort of bad person. And bad people who are being objectified as bad people don't learn anything, generally. They're just defensive. Shelby Spring, how do you get over insecurity and self-hatred in the most positive way, I assume? Shelby, thank you. That's a brave and wonderful question. If you're listening right now or watching, you could give Shelby a like or a heart or something on her question. Insecurity is not something you really get over. It's just something that you begin to accept. And the most confident people generally, if they're not arrogant, if they're genuinely confident, are okay with insecurity and okay with being seen to be dorky. Like, I'll use my friend Dave Rogers, who's in the office right now. This guy is incredibly confident, but not generally in an arrogant way. And he is very comfortable walking around in ridiculous hats. He does it every day. And he looks, from a junior high point of view, no one would be caught dead in the hats he wears. But because he's got a sense of humor about it and he likes his big hats or his orange hats or whatever, he's cool with it, and then it makes it cool. And I got my cowboy hat out of the closet for the first time in years, and I've been wearing it partially because of him, which now he can't wear it because we're all wearing ridiculous hats walking around together. Alrighty. Michelle, thank you for Loving Elephant Journal. Please get our free newsletter, because you guys are not going to be having elephant in your life. If you're used to reading elephant on Facebook, that's going to be less and less and less, and Elephant will collapse. Without subscriptions, without advertising, we can't pay our best consistent writers, we can't pay our editors, and we will go. And that's 14 years of my life right there, trying to be of benefit, and Facebook turns the faucet, and suddenly, goodbye media. Alrighty. Yeah, we have a great newsletter. We put a lot of time into it. It's curated. Ellie was saying something about it. Nicole, I always take a break from whatever it is that just happened. Leave the room, meditate, regroup. Exactly. Nicole, I'm the same way. Sometimes that's irritated ex-girlfriends of mine. They don't like it that when I get angry or upset, I leave, and then I process 2.5 minutes, whatever. Usually that's all it takes to kind of come back into a grounded place, and then I come back. They're like, just be here, I can deal with it. And I don't know. I'm sure they're correct, but there's a part of me that doesn't fully trust myself in that I don't want to be upset or a jerk around people. I want to deal with it with myself and then come back and relate to it in an open way. Because generally, if you're a jerk with people, it just creates more confusion and more drama, and you can't really address the problem. Obviously, there's sudden tragedies in life where you just have to deal with it immediately, and the great thing about being human is that in those situations, sort of adrenaline or a shock or whatever just takes over, and hopefully you're just acting in the moment to help. Like in a tragedy in Orlando, as Mr. Rogers said about tragedies, always look for the helpers. No matter how dark these tragedies are, you can always see so many people running into the tragedy instead of away from it. Into the tragedy instead of away from it. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. All right. Gancio, Daniela. So the first reaction is no reaction at all. What next? Exactly. Gancio. So, great. So the next reaction, is whatever is appropriate. So you can't really prescribe a reaction, but the next action, if there's something difficult, is generally productive, constructive action. How can I help? So instead of saying what the action is, because there's a million different circumstances, the basic question, after you've breathed through it, you've kind of dealt with all the sudden grief or devastation or disappointment or sadness, is how can I help? So we've all had that situation. We've heard about a dear friend who has cancer. Maybe first we deal with it, and then we go to them or their loved ones. How can we help? So maybe the next thing is to say openly, without preconception, without sort of aggression or righteousness, just saying, how can I help? Nancy, grief tends to consume me and I hate it. I would love to learn how to handle it better. Amen. So the tricky thing, Nancy, is it consumes us. I used to get everyday depression very regularly, and I would fall into it and I couldn't get out of it, and it was very heavy. I couldn't even leave my house. And the ironic thing is I wasn't allowing myself to feel it fully. So that's what the Tonglen practice does. We feel it fully and then we move on. Yesterday we talked about how regret is incredibly important, but only for 3 seconds. And that's sort of that's not literal, but you can feel it fully for 3 seconds and then move forward. So Nancy, beautiful, powerful question. Even just asking that question is your way out. But as Winston Churchill or someone said, I always love to quote this, the only way out is through. You don't need to put that quote in the comments unless there's a blog about it. The only way out is through. So we can't run away from our feelings. They're going to be there. You know that Buckaroo Banzai, that old movie, it said, wherever you go, there you are. So wherever you go, there you are. You can go to the top of a mountain, you can go to the bottom of the ocean, but you're still going to feel your feelings. So how do we feel them fully? In a safe space, like meditation, like I just talked about. So the Daten letter by Trungpa Rinpoche, that would be great to put in the comments. That's the best meditation instruction ever, or classic meditation instruction. Daten, D-A-T-H-U-N, by Trungpa. All right. And you already got the Pema. So read that Pema article about meditation, Tonglen. It's in the comments as well. Amanda Forsyth, Elephant Journal is one of the only reasons I am on Facebook. It is my happy place, sending good energy. Thank you. It would be much more powerful if you got our newsletter, but I accept and appreciate and return good energy to you. Thank you. So our newsletter is free, and it's the only thing we really control. My parents' Buddhist teacher used to always say about they would do these huge kind of colleges called seminaries, and for 3 months they would meditate and study and practice and celebrate banquets. It was it was amazing. And they would always rent these hotels that were off season to do it for years until finally they got their own land to do it on. And Trungpa Rinpoche was always saying, do it on your own land. Do it on your own land. Like, Elephant has basically had this amazing partner, Facebook, for many years, and now Facebook over the last couple of years has been reducing organic natural reach. And then last night I read that they're really reducing it hugely. Elephant will collapse. We'll have to lay people off unless all of you spread the word and get our newsletter, which is free on every page of Elephant. So I'm not generally here to pitch anything, but this is a matter of, if you want to keep Elephant around and keep it in your life, get our free newsletter. It's at the top of every page of Elephant. All right, Rhonda, you love Elephant. Thank you. We are trying to earn that love. Danielle, I would love a live feed like this once a week, maybe in the evening. This is amazing. Yeah, so Danielle, we've been doing this every morning, MST, Mountain Standard Time, at 11 a.m., and they're recorded on our Facebook wall as well as on youtube.com/Elephant Journal. So you can always watch these. And we do a lot of these videos without the question and answer. They're a little shorter, they're a little more focused, they're better and easier in some ways, but they're also less fun. I don't get to ping pong with you guys. Bretchi, what's the name of the meditation teacher? That should be in comments if you look through. Ashley is putting these blogs in comments. Rebecca, I suffer from severe panic attacks. I can't seem to pull out of it in the moment. So, Rebecca, I am no authority on this. I have only had a few panic attacks in my life, and they were when I was young. But as you know, panic attacks really work their, I mean, if you want to say more, I can answer more, but they really work their unhelpful magic through tightening and constricting the breath. So the first thing is really focus, like Lamaze breathing, just focus on, maybe put your hand on your heart and really just feel the feeling that is leading to the panic, and know that you can't do anything about it right now. You can do something about it in 1 minute, and just feel it fully and just breathe a little bit slowly in and out. You don't have to breathe too slowly, just your natural breath. And if you meditate 2 minutes a day, in the morning, 2 minutes in the evening, and then you can meditate for much longer periods, of course, you can go to your local Shambhala center. I highly recommend it. You can do free meditation there. They have Monday night free teachings at most Shambhala centers. And they're not going to try and get you to sign anything or whatever, sign over your children. You can just go there and meditate. They love to just sit around and meditate together. Just find some people to meditate with, find some people to do a study group with. I really recommend the Shambhala community, but you can, pick your poison. So the point is, if you can have a little meditation in your daily life on your own, a little meditation in a group, and obviously things like eating real food at good times, bothering to sit down and eat it properly, good friends, advice from friends, hopefully good news and media, instead of just kind of crappy TV or something. Just treat yourself lovingly, and then you'll be able to love your way through those panic attacks, hopefully. All right, so a couple other questions and comments and stuff. Ashley, well, just reaching out is a great way to start. If you need help, there are tons of resources online if you're feeling really horrible. If you're not feeling kind to yourself, you need to reach out for sure. But if you're but if, like myself, you're just feeling devastated or a bit down, challenged, the meditation practices we went through are powerful. And also the things I just was mentioning, reaching out to friends, talking with friends, or mentors. Mentors can be more helpful than friends sometimes, because friends are sort of almost two in your world sometimes. Sean, great observation. Vero, thank you, because I do that and some people tell me that I am trying to escape the reality. Hugs from Uruguay. All right. Yeah, well, so yeah, we don't want to escape, but at least for myself and perhaps you, I have a temper. So when I feel my temper coming on, it's almost like feeling the popcorn. So I don't really like to popcorn all over people. I just go for a little walk and then I come back and then I can relate with, usually it's just because I'm stressed, I haven't been able to exercise, I haven't been able to whatever, and then I can relate to them in a straightforward way. And anger isn't a bad thing, but, being a jerk is kind of a bad thing. All right. Love from Portugal, from Ana Claudia. This is so cool. We are living in a bad era. Pray to all those in the world who suffer. Amen. Every day when you meditate or when you're going to bed or when you wake up, if you can just contemplate all those who are suffering, and you can think about everyone who's having a great time. We don't have to be... There's this wonderful quote, probably my favorite quote ever. It's on Elephant, and it says, the definition of a warrior is someone who can keep the vision and the brilliance of the great eastern sun, of the positive, cheerful, celebratory aspect of being human, of flowers and rainbows and all that. Keep that in mind, the vision and brilliance of basic goodness. And at the same time, keep in his or her heart, the sadness and the pain of samsara, of confusion, of suffering. So if you can do both of those things, then the entire fruition of that is that you can drink a proper cup of tea and enjoy it fully in the present moment. So on that note, I'm going to have my first sip of coffee of the day. Excuse me for my drinking coffee. Safari, exactly. Not every situation needs a reaction, right? I mean, I remember after 9/11, everyone was just so full of grief, but we were also so full of love and solidarity, the whole world. And there was a great part of us who, were very afraid of what America's reaction would be, because, of course, it would create tons of death, tons of killing, tons of suffering. Obviously, there's actions that needed to be taken, but if those actions were just taken out of sort of macho aggression, we were going to be creating further suffering. And we're seeing that to this day. That's not a political observation. That's just countries act in the same way that humans act, just on a macro level. Barry, I find that my yoga and meditation, getting in touch with my source, are things that help me to change my outlook. I believe everything that happens is either a blessing or a lesson. I bow to you. Great comment. Give Barry a like or a love or whatever if you are so inspired. Michelle Canning, I do subscribe to your newsletter. Bought your book, which is really great. Yeah, I wrote a book about love. We talked a little bit about it once. So different, and I love the writers and articles that you publish. Thank you. You are inspirational. Thank you. You are inspirational. Hearing that someone is subscribing to our newsletter is frankly our lifeline right now, and it's a very, very thin lifeline. We get about 5,000 readers from our newsletter. A couple 100,000 people subscribe, but 2% or whatever see it in their email and open it up. And we have 5 million fans on Facebook, and we've been getting, hundreds of thousands of readers a day from Facebook. And to see that reduce, we're basically going out of business. So if you want to keep us around, that newsletter is it. Free newsletter on top of Elephant Journal. If you want to keep Elephant in your life, just get that free newsletter. It's on top of every page of elephantjournal.com. All right, Lisa, I love Elephant Journal. Keep on keeping on. All right, we will, but we can't without you. So we will if you let us, if you get our newsletter. Jessica, this is great. I'm Christian, but being one means being a good person. Amen. Jessica, I went to Sunday school, and I have never in my life, I don't think, been around kinder people. And the old definition of being Christian was being kind. And there's this wonderful quote about God that says, I know how close you are to God by how kind you are. It's something like that. If someone knows the actual quote, you can put it in the comments. But I love that. So Christian, Buddhist, Islamic, Jewish, what have you, agnostic, atheist, who cares, really? Just follow your path And if it helps you to be kind and to be generous and to be present and have a sense of humor about yourself and to be able to breathe through grief fully, then you're on the right track. Alexander, the newsletter is in fact awesome. Thank you. A little testimonial. Someone commenting to someone. Rob Thomas is here. Rob Thomas is an amazing guy with an amazing company. Rotaro Roxana, what do you think about the relationship between a narcissist and an empath? Well, I think we have an article on that's incredibly popular. So you can just Google, if you want, narcissist, empath, elephantjournal.com, and you'll see this article on elephant that's very well received. But what I would say is that we're all narcissistic and we're all empathic, hopefully. We all have egos and we all have hearts. So we need to deal with both. And egos aren't evil and hearts aren't always good. We just need to kind of be able to love and make peace with our egos so that it can stop acting out like a little 2-year-old with an army and a whatever at its disposal. I feel like Donald Trump, love him or don't love him, is almost like the classic example of this kind of 2-year-old narcissist, like acting everything out. And he's very charming about it. And then in empath, we all feel too much sometimes. And empaths that's kind of a good thing. If you're in touch with your heart, that's a good thing. But if you're drowning in your heart, try that Tonglen practice that we talked about, and it's in comments. Katie, I love Elephant Health and Wellness, one of our pages on Facebook, also a page on elephantjournal.com. It has been a huge compliment to our DBT therapy on a daily basis. Many of the articles have brought peace and reminders of how to deal with everyday struggles. I have stopped letting life just happen to me. Katie, thank you so much. And please write. Our writers are our readers. Our readers are our writers. So if you want to write, there's a write submit button on every page of elephantjournal.com. And you don't have to write as an expert. You can write your experience. Where do I get your newsletter? From Jenna Lee. So that's at the top of every single page. We need to make it way more obvious now if Cordy is still here. Because of Facebook's announcement, we need to make a huge get our free newsletter. It's our only chance for Elephant to stay in your life button. But right now it says free newsletter at the top of every page of Elephant Journal. Heather Trujillo, there is no timeline on grief, no rules or definition on what grief feels like, no textbook definition of grief. The best way to grieve is to make sure you feel and acknowledge your own feelings. We need to steal that quote and put it on Instagram. That's beautiful. There's no textbook way, but there is, as you said, it is important to feel it fully, but without kind of drowning in it. Feel it fully, breathe through it, have some practice, whether it's prayer or meditation, to help you get through it. Bobby, I'd like the newsletter to keep more of this coming. All right, well, we put our one video a week in every newsletter too. Lisa, YouTube has great guided meditations for beginners. Lisa, amen. And my channel, youtube.com/elephantjournal, has a ton of meditations on there. I'd really encourage you to support Elephant or myself or other people on YouTube or other blogs or websites who are independent. A lot of media now is corporate owned, and corporate Elephant's a corporation. Everyone's a corporation. Your local, organic hemp tie-dye store is a corporation, but meaning there's a ton of investors and they're basically looking for profits, not for mission. So Elephant is mission driven. If you want to keep us around, try and support our YouTube channel, our site, get the newsletter, and write. Have a good time. It can be fun. Clarissa, you guys are kind of cheering me up, I think. I opened myself saying my feelings to someone and he was supposed to have for me as well, and he always told me now it was my turn to speak because he was about to leave in a couple of months. He never answered back. I feel anguish and crazy. What do I do? What happened? So Clarissa, first of all, know that you're a beautiful, wonderful person, and if I were your girlfriend, I'd be like, to hell with him. You opened up, you said your thing, so good on you. Pema Chodron talks about how Maitri or self-love is the feeling of being brokenhearted, but it's without the object. Or no, she talks about how bodhicitta, the Buddha nature itself, being awakened and being a good person, is that feeling of being brokenhearted about someone not loving you back, but it's without the object or without the subject out there. So you're actually the sadness you feel is not only okay, it's beautiful, but you need to, I mean, you asked me, you need to let go of him. That's the part that's crazy. If he's not returning it, he's not available, he's not there, or he's not grown up, or he doesn't like you, whatever it is, we can't, I've gone through that brokenheartedness. We can't control someone else. What we can nurture is our own heart. So be good to yourself and know that you will be loved as soon as you are able to love yourself. And that sounds cliche, but it's really true. You are worthy of love right now. Rebecca, thank you so much. That was very helpful. Thank you. Kat has a question. What's your favorite article so far? Any that you remember stick out? Lisa, I can't find a place to buy your book. Please provide a link. So I wrote a book about love and broken heart and loneliness and how to, and it's kind of romantic. You can get it at elephantjournal.com/books. Yeah, we do an awful job of advertising it. It's not really displayed on our homepage much, I don't think. Elephantjournal.com/books. And it's an eco book. It's plastic free. Almost all new books have plastic covers. And it was printed locally on good paper. And for every book, we're making a donation to orphaned elephant babies. We couldn't possibly think of a better cause than that. All right. And I hope you enjoy it. My book is called Things I Would Like to Do With You. And I share quotes on it, or my staff or friends share quotes on it on our Instagram.com/elephantjournal regularly. Cici Gonzalez, I came in at the right time. Good, welcome. Jay Kafolihon Marie, these chats are so helpful. Thank you so much. Love back to you. 3 hearts back to you. Angela, I have a very hard time completely clearing my mind. You're not trying to clear your mind when you meditate. That's a great question. Do you have any suggestions on how I can clear my mind while you meditate? No. You're not trying to clear your mind. This is a common misperception of meditation. A clear, open, empty mind is a very boring, bland place. So, like Albert Einstein said about his desk, brilliant people often have messy desks. Your mind, your heart, it can have tons of thoughts, it can have tons of feelings going on. The clarity that you're talking about is important, but we're not trying to get rid of all that stuff. That's my point. We're not trying to squeegee ourselves away. We're trying to simply notice those thoughts, notice those feelings gently, and then return our attention to the breath. And the breath is sort of a crutch or a stand-in for the present moment. And because it's not solid, it's a great crutch because we can't really lean on it too hard. We have to we kind of lean and fall into the present moment, basically. So I hope that's helpful. Don't try to clear your mind so much as take a good posture, relax, find your breath in and out, notice when you're thinking, return your attention to the breath, and dedicate the merit of your day and your meditation to others, including yourself. So hard to scroll through these. Alexia Derboki, if you keep for a while a distance from a specific problem you are facing, in my opinion, it's easier sometimes to find the solution or to evaluate the situation better. For sure. So after you feel it fully, you can go for a hike, go exercise, go talk with a friend. Distance from a situation can be very helpful, for sure. Safari Brooks, coexist, love, yes, love back. It is not a bad thing to be emotional. Amen. But, drowning or taking advantage of your emotionalism or your emotions can become emotionalism, which can be unhealthy and unhappy and unhelpful for others and yourself. All right, Paula Blamey, love the elephant. Yay. Get our newsletter. So I started this off by saying I had devastating news last night that Facebook is basically saying news is not going to be that important anymore. And news is basically dependent on and controlled by its partner, Facebook, now in the modern day. The majority of news is consumed or found through Facebook. So this is not blaming or anti-Facebook. They've been an amazing partner, but they are basically going to be putting a lot of journalism and original quality writing out of business with this decision. So the only way to keep the elephant around is get that newsletter. It's the only thing I can think of, and it's free. So our newsletter is at the top of Elephant Journal. I'll stop saying it, but people keep coming in, and so I keep repeating it. Heather Trujillo, you know what helps me during my anxiety is this. I sit with my eyes closed, feet together, grounded on the floor. I take a deep breath and see what I can smell. Then I open my eyes. What you're doing there is you're touching in with your sense perceptions and calming, and that can be fantastic if you're feeling crazy emotion. And the closing your eyes can be helpful if you're feeling a lot of crazy emotion, but a lot of Buddhist meditation practices, you'll have your eyes open. A lot, you'll have your eyes closed. Sometimes it's very helpful to keep your eyes open and awake. If you fall asleep, keeping your eyes open can be helpful. And also, we're not trying to shut the world out, really. Although, like you said, sometimes having a little calm distance can be helpful. Safari Brook, that quote, if you love a flower, don't pick it or whatever. Instead, let it grow. Just watch and admire it from a distance. Amen. That's an Osho quote, who's a very controversial gentleman, but it's a beautiful quote. Tammy, how do you beat depression? To the point, don't beat depression. To the point where you feel worthless and you sometimes feel you just want to end the pain. It sucks. I'm tired of hurting emotionally every day. It's getting harder to pull myself back up after being kicked down for so long. So, first of all, Tammy, there are amazing resources from professional counselors online and that you can call at any time. So I am not a professional grief counselor or suicide or things like that. So I am a Buddhist and a fool and a friend, hopefully, to you, and the founder of Elephant Journal, but I am not a professional. What I can say about everyday depression, not clinical depression, is I have a blog on Elephant. I wrote the 8 things that are helpful for me when I'm going through everyday depression. And you could read those and hopefully find them helpful. I found them helpful because for my whole life, I've gone through everyday depression, and I don't go through it that much now. Even last night with devastating news, I felt the feelings, but I almost immediately was trying to feel my way through to a productive end, to a productive beginning, I should say. But Tammy, first of all, everyone, big love to you. Let's all like and love her comment. You need to, first of all, surround yourself with people who care about you and who are gentle and kind with you. And, eating decent, real food, treating yourself well. There's a blog, Maitri, I always refer to, learning how to love yourself. Read that blog, Maitri. Loving kindness for yourself. Loving kindness is a practice, and you can practice it. So it's an actual meditation practice that you can practice and learn. So you can't beat depression, but you can kind of love it up and nurture it and calm it and move forward. So Tammy, big love to you, and please come back and ask me a question tomorrow and every day. I'll be here Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. MST, and I'm always happy to be there for you. But remember, those online resources are amazing. Just Google emergency grief counseling or, other things. All right. A lot more comments. Wow. Wow. Thank you. There's a big, long, beautiful comment from Dewey. Cool name, by the way. Yeah, please get that newsletter. Thank you for saying all that. Sally Byrne, who do you say wrote the book about being brokenhearted but letting go? Pema Chodron, yeah. So we put her in the comments. You can read her and then go get a book by her. She's fantastic. I always recommend used books because they're more eco and they're cheaper. Why not? And you're supporting an independent bookstore instead of Amazon. Please don't buy on Amazon. Read, if you're an Amazon user, read Cheap Words. Google Cheap Words by The New Yorker. We'll put it in the comments. And then, like myself, you probably won't be an Amazon fan anymore. All right, looking forward to getting the book. All right, Kathy, thank you. elephantjournal.com/books. Only if you want. We're not here to sell stuff. We're just here to talk about mindfulness in everyday life. But we do sell stuff. We are a business that has to do with mindfulness in everyday life. So there you go. Ruthie, I have not seen my grandkids in 2 years because of my son. How do I deal with this? Feels like a death. Well, that is super sad. And again, asking that question and talking with loved ones and friends is a powerful beginning. So keep just being open and asking for advice from people who you respect or who you like or who you know, anyone really. Your barista is just helpful to communicate. Communication is almost like the path out of depression or loss often. Um, and if you really are never going to be able to see them, then you have no choice but to let go. But if you have any chance to see them and you feel like you can be helpful in their lives, and I don't know the circumstances obviously here, but then, you know, keep at it and be gentle and be kind. All right, Cindy Comerford, thank you for listening. Listening is much harder than talking, or much rarer, I should say. Ian Gaska, do you think it is possible to meditate while you're doing an action like washing dishes or vacuuming or working? The Buddhist, that's a fantastic question. I love that question. The Buddhist answer to that is yes and no. So no first. So when you wash dishes, just wash dishes. When you vacuum, just vacuum. When you work, just work. And then it can become a meditation in action. So it's not a meditation, but it can be a meditation in action. So when I grew up, I studied Zen. You guys can't see my gestures because I'm so close. I studied Zen. It's not really Zen. It's sort of the samurai archery called Kyudo. That's a meditation in action, or walking meditation, or tea ceremony, or ikebana, flower arranging. There's many different meditations and actions in action, but and washing dishes is a fantastic meditation in action. I avoid washing my dishes for weeks at a time, and then I do my dishes or hang up my clothes, and I find myself thinking through my life and relaxing, and it's actually kind of fun. So I don't know why I don't just do it all the time, which I should. Alrighty. So yeah, but imposing some sort of weird meditation on your actions, don't do it. When you're, you know, the Zen expression is when you cut wood or chop wood, chop wood. When you carry water, carry water. Just do it fully. And then it can become a meditation in action. Hilda, can I suggest you put more articles in the daily e-zines, our newsletters, now that you'll be more dependent on them? I open every single e-zine or newsletter because it only takes a few seconds to check if there's something in there I'd like to read. If you highlight 3 or 4 more per day, that's 3 or 4 more chances I'll click through. So Hilda, who is a wonderful writer on Elephant, so right now in our daily newsletters, we have like 6 articles or something. You're just saying put like 12. Can you clarify? Great suggestion. We'll take any suggestions at any time. All right. Christopher, life's a garden, dig it. I like it. And gardens are relaxing. Yeah, if you're going through depression, exercise outside, not in a gym, outside, or gardening outside, or being with a pet, and being kind with the pet and exercising that pet. These are amazing, simple ways to feel better. There's nothing better than spooning with my dog. I don't know, he's just napping over there. I'll try and get him over here at the end, right before I hang up. Kathy Rollins, honestly, I've never tried meditation, but I'm looking forward to trying it. Yeah, it's kind of easy, it's kind of simple, but at the same time it's endless, and you'll never get it right. And many people often experience that they feel crazier after they meditate in the very beginning. That'll go away. You feel crazier because it's like opening that closet you haven't opened forever and seeing this huge mess in the closet. And then you can kind of start dealing with all that mess. But you also don't really have to deal with it. You can just label it thinking and return your attention to the present moment. So the point there is that you're not this big project, that you can actually just return to the present moment. As the Rolling Stones say, enlightenment is just a shot away, right? All right. Tammy, thank you. Cindy, I need to feel loved, but I don't. Cindy, that's a very beautiful and honest and simply put question. It's difficult to be that straightforward. So thank you. If everyone wants to give her some love and like, I will. That would be beautiful. So first of all, Cindy, read Maitri. Read that blog Maitri. It's in the comments. I think right below your comment. If you don't feel loved, You need to first practice loving yourself. And it is practice. It is hard, but it is simple. You can just practice loving yourself every day. It's not an egotistical love. It's a open, honest, brave, raw, difficult love, but you can practice it. And then once you feel loved, as you know, people who are okay with themselves and have a sense of humor about themselves and a sense of gentleness about themselves, it's really easy to love them. Christy, thank you. Oh my God. Cher, I'm so sorry. 5 days ago, my only son died in a car accident. It has been the worst possible thing that has happened to me in my life. Everyone says I should speak to someone. I am not sure I would like to speak to a therapist. I'm thinking of speaking to a more spiritual-based person. What are your thoughts? Cher, if you can say where you are in the comments, or you can message me at publisher, PUBLISHER at elephantjournal.com. I will try and connect you with someone wherever you live. I'm so sorry. And you know, all you can do is you can be kind to yourself. Right now, it's more important than ever. And definitely it's important to speak to somebody. If you don't feel like speaking to a therapist, I would respect that feeling. You shouldn't feel pressured to do anything. And you can speak to friends, you can speak to loved ones, you can speak, you can communicate with, you know, a meditation instructor or a mentor of some sort. There's a lot of different resources there. So if everyone can share some love. Annika, what do you do if you feel your emotions gradually go bad? I got an extremely bad illness diagnosis. Now I live from day to day, but even every day I feel my emotions gradually going worse during that time that I am alone. Once I am with my beloved ones, I am relatively fine. There must be a way to deal with it when being alone. Yeah, being alone can be a real challenge. So, like, share, love to you, Annika. If everyone can give you some love, that would be helpful. Just expressing love to others can be really heartwarming. But it's not enough. So what do we do beyond that? So your question is beautiful and wonderful. I mean, first of all, Suzuki Roshi, the wonderful Zen Buddhist teacher who wrote Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, I have some great blogs on him on elephantjournal.com. He says, it is wisdom which is seeking wisdom. So your question is the wisdom itself, right? So, first of all, love to you. And living day to day is more than most of us do. Wow. You guys are definitely being kind to me and making me feel like my problems, like Elephant going out of business because of Facebook, are not so huge. So, yeah, how do you deal with being alone with that intensity of that hard news? Know that you're never truly fully alone, but know that you're also always alone. So, again, those meditation practices are great, but also just simply on a very human level, finding things you enjoy to do alone. You know, find a TV show you love. I've been watching Billions, which I don't think is brilliant, but I love Damian Lewis, the actor. Finding a good book and reading on a hammock, reading by the creek, going for a swim, doing what you can to enjoy being alone. Enjoying being alone is one of the rarest pleasures. Taking a bath with the New Yorker, it's one of my happy places. Doing your dishes, doing your laundry, like we were saying with the prior person. Going for a walk with your dog, watering your plants, gardening, hot tubbing, whatever it is. If you can find ways to nurture yourself when you're alone, maybe write down a list on a chalkboard or somewhere of 5 things you enjoy doing by yourself, and try and do those things. So, love to you and wellness to you. And we have a lot of articles on wellness that aren't medically prescribed, but are how to deal with your, how to be kind to yourself. So, Ruthie, you have a great support system. Thanks. Great to hear. Cindy, amen. So we did discuss that. Share. Cindy, yeah, love to you. Hello, there is meditation. Actually sounds good. Ruthie, thank you so much. And you love the newsletter and you're thrilled with all the resources. Yeah, we put a ton of work into that newsletter, and it would be great if millions of people read it instead of a couple 100,000. Mental illness. All right. So, yeah, really reach out and make sure you have the resources there, Cindy. All right, Kathy Rollins. My 23-year-old nephew has recently been diagnosed with testicular cancer. Had first round of chemo last week. He's very spiritual, and I would like to give him a good read to keep his inner spirit and mind up and positive. Any suggestions? He's an amazing young man, giving, loving, and wonderful human being. Kathy, big love to you and big love to your nephew, and he's lucky to have a auntie like you who is asking a question like that. So the books that have been helpful for me, there's two ways to go with those kind of books. One could just be a fun science fiction book or something that's fun, Fun is really important. The other way to go is, I do love Pema Chodron. She has a book called When Things Fall Apart that Oprah loved. And it's probably the best book recommendation for all of us in this discussion today. Love to him. Beautiful comment, share from Annabelle. Again, don't feel pressured in any way, but do know that reaching out and communication can be helpful. Tammy, I think Ashley hopefully found that blog about how to work with everyday depression that I wrote. It's got an image of Walt Whitman on it. All right, lots of beautiful comments. Lots of comments for Cindy and lots of comments for Cher. Yeah, you can call Tammy too. She sounds nice. All right. Lots of prayers for Cher. More comments from Cher. Yeah, from Sue Fletcher, a beautiful comment. And you don't have to wait until you're ready. You can do it when you're not ready. Meditation, you don't have to be together. You can just do it when you're messy. That's sort of what it's for. Sorry, I'm just trying to skim through these now so we can wrap up. And when we wrap up, we'll get Redford in here, my dog. All right, Jennifer Bryant, thank you so much. You've been tuning in every day. Yeah, these Facebook Lives have been really fun. This Facebook Live thing is a great way to connect. Beautiful comment from Natalie. All right, that's not by Darwin. Wisdom Seeking Wisdom. Anyway, all right. Maybe both he and Suzuki Roshi said the same thing. That would be interesting. All right, I kayak by myself. It is great for the soul. Like, that is such a cool thing to do on your own. So fun. Thank you, Carrie, for your kind comment to me. Yeah, Bill Schrum. All right, where are the takers in this world? Oops. Kathy Lewis. Oops. I'm trying to... Kathy, yeah, if you're just feeling like people are using you and never giving back, then forget them. Just focus on yourself. Read that blog, Maitri. What you can do is control how you can be kind to yourself. You can't control jerks out there, but you can try and surround yourself with good friends. All right, tons of beautiful comments for Cher and Cindy. My good friend has suicide thoughts daily, and even though I tell him that he is amazing, that he isn't a waste of space, and that he isn't an idiot, he won't stop. His self-harm, and I really want him to feel love. The problem is that I don't live near him, so I can't go see him to cheer him up. From Talia, beautiful comment. It's beautiful that he has someone loving in his life, and even if you're not there, you can be incredibly there, as you already are. Number one, he needs resources around him, and he needs to know those online resources. You can Google suicide hotline resources. We can leave more resources in comments. I think we have some blogs on suicide and resources for that as well. But know that no blog is going to help you. I mean, it can help, but it's not enough. You need to have people you can talk with and who can be there for you. Elizabeth, I am Catholic. I mean, all of us, I feel like right now, are getting a great reminder, a powerful, beautiful, heartbreaking reminder of how much sadness and suffering there is in the world. And that's not a downer. If we're open to that, then we can feel love for one another. And then when we enjoy things like watching Billions, as people keep talking about in the comments, we can enjoy them. You know, like that quote I said, you know, you can keep the vision and brilliance of basic human wisdom in mind, and at the same time the sadness and depression in your heart. Then you can live life fully and properly. All right, so many questions. This is amazing. I'm just gonna see if. All right, I think we're gonna wrap up because I had a long night and I have a long day in front of me, and I'm sure you do too. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll be doing this every day, 11 a.m. MST. Try and read those resources we take the time to put in the comments if they're helpful to you. If you want to get my book, you're welcome to. No pressure, of course, elephantjournal.com/books. But by far the most important thing, given that Facebook has just announced that news will no longer really be seen that much online, is to get our free newsletter and have that ongoing mindfulness resource in your life if you find it helpful to you. So maybe we could all take a good posture, a deep breath, and bow with respect to each other and give it away.